Good morning, everyone. Today I am here in the city center of Recife, the historical center. This is where most of the government buildings are, but it's also full of tourist attractions. So I will go to some of the main attractions. So as you see, the Recife kind of board here is behind me. We are in the square Marco Zero. So this is where the city actually started in. This is a square that is kind of the ground zero for where they started laying the foundations of the city. And from here you have all of these streets that kind of go out and just go into the city. It's kind of a small island, and then eventually the city grew to the other side. From here you can see some of the main places. You can already see the beautiful architecture behind me. All the way there, that way over there is the artisanal market. So it's yet another one of those markets. There is a more informal one in Boa Viagem neighborhood. If you want to go there, it's really nice. This one here is a little bit more touristic. That one is touristic as well, but this one is even more. Then across the sea here, you can see with the big pillar, that is the sculpture from Francisco Brenna. So it is really an interesting piece. It's a sculpture park. I have been to the workshop that became a museum. They have quite some cool things in there. So if you want to see how it looks like, go and check that video out. I also went to what is the best museum in South America. I didn't know that, so I was blown away by the museum. So just go and check that video out. And all the way there, if we go that way there, you can see on the skyscrapers. Let me show you. You can see the big skyscrapers. That is Boa Viagem neighborhood. Over there is like the touristic neighborhood and where most tourists are, and where I am staying as well. Full of bars, restaurants, places to go. So it can be a good option as well. So I will start by going to the artisanal market here, and then I will venture out to other parts. So come with me as we go and check this one out. So I was just walking away from the ground zero square because it was quite hot there, and going to our next attraction. But I wanted to just mention in Marco Zero, first of all, there will be some people that will be asking for money or offering you things. So as usual, just be mindful not to be a target for petty thieves. And the second thing I wanted to mention is if you want to cross to the park of the sculptures park that we see on the other side, for that you will either need to go around, get a Uber, and then kind of go through land there, or you can get like a little boat that the guy will charge you something to cross. I was looking on the internet, and apparently each kind of boat keeper will just ask you the amount of money he thinks you're gonna pay, so you might want to haggle a little bit. And that is where you can also get some catamaran tours, just like to go through the bridges and see and go into the river to see what is like Recife from a different view. So this cultural fair here, like it's kind of a warehouse that was repurposed for this. They sell like bigger pieces, so more than your usual tiny kind of clay pottery items from the street fairs. In here you're gonna find like actual furniture, bigger pieces for you to take home. So if you're looking for something like that, this might be the place to come. They also sell like blankets, rugs, small souvenirs even. Loads of very beautiful things, but I think it's gonna be slightly more overpriced than if you go to the one in Boa Viagem, for example. The only thing that I've seen here that I haven't seen elsewhere, and maybe you would be interested, is like children's toys. I'm looking at it right now. So the children's toys, like they have many artisanal ones. So if you want to take something different for your child, for a grandchild, or niece, nephews, or whatnot, so you can have a good kind of array of options here to choose from. So it's pretty much just that. There's not much to do here other than like really buying something. So I'm gonna move on to my next attraction now. So let's keep on going. I am inside the Cais do Sertão Museum. This is a museum about the inner part of the region, the state. The parallel you can draw is probably with the American Wild West. So kind of very dry places, loads of cowboy style people and clothes, the artifacts that they would use, and the music from that place. So one of the most famous kind of musicians here in Brazil comes from there. He's called Luis Gonzaga, and his museum is mostly in honor of him. I have also briefly spoke about him in another video I have about the Northeast Traditions Fair back in Rio. I'll link this here, but you can really see like he was very important for the culture and for spreading awareness about this region. It's a very poor region from Brazil, and you can see like their ways of life, the history of his music. There is kind of like a little bit of a body of water that goes through the middle of the museum that represents the main river in that region, Rio São Francisco, and how that river kind of connects with the people and the culture of the place. It is really interesting here. You can see many artifacts, you can understand about the music, you can hear a little bit about the music if you want to. So I would recommend that you come here. On Tuesdays, the museum is free. It is closed on Mondays, and on the other days it's like 10 reais, which is what, $2. And it's open mostly between 10 to 4 on weekdays and 11 to 5 on weekends. So that could be a good option if you're visiting the historical center here in Recife. Visit what it looks like a typical house from the Sertão Nordestino, which is the kind of deserted area here, the poor area here in Brazil, in this region, and you can listen to the types of music people would be listening to, and you can see like the way that a house would look like. It's a quite interesting museum. Unfortunately, the audiovisual exhibitions were not working. They were under maintenance, but they did have like a cool thing that you could like put your elbows on, and I think the sound would reverberate through your hands, and if you put your wrists on your ears you could hear things. So they have like what looks like barrels all over, so you could hear them without audio guides, just using your wrists. So before we continue to our next attraction, I wanted to show you like a cool sculpture that I have right next to me. This is like a rooster sculpture. It's called Galo da Madrugada. It's Dawn Rooster, and this is in honor of a famous carnival block here in Recife. So people from all over the country come to just participate in this every carnival. They have their own song, and also they play several other frevo music genre songs. So if you're ever around it during carnival time, Recife is one of our most famous carnivals, together with Salvador and Rio de Janeiro. So if you're interested, you have different things to do pretty much every day of the week, so that could be a good option for you. But I wanted to show you just this cool sculpture here before we keep on going. I am inside the Passo do Frevo, or the Frevo Palace, and this is like a museum experience place that you can come and learn more about the history of Frevo. Frevo is one of our most important musical manifestations. I think you can hear the sound behind me. These are like famous Frevo songs that you can hear around Carnival in this area. So the carnival here is nothing like the one you probably heard of in Rio with the full of the parades and things like that. This is much more like a street carnival. You have the parades of the big dolls that go through. They have one here from a famous lady that also sang ciranda, which is another type of musical manifestation. It's one that we sing and dance like while on a group holding hands and kind of going around. And it's just very interesting because it's very colorful. One thing that I just learned here that I didn't know is that the dance for the frevo is not called frevo, it's called mungangueiro, and it's like a very free type of movement. You know, it looks like a bit of like a modern dance despite being 100 years old, and it comes from, there is influence from capoeira, the fight, there is influence from like just people feeling really free and wanting to express themselves. So that's how they would dance, like throwing hands and the legs all over and really trying to express freedom and just feeling well with the music that they were listening to. So if you are in Recife, this is an amazing place for you to come. As the Cais do Sertão Museum, it also costs 10 reais. It works on the same schedule. So Mondays are closed, from Tuesdays to Fridays from 10 to 4, and Saturdays, Sundays from 11 to 5. And on Tuesdays it's also free. So honestly, I think it's worth paying, but if you don't want to, come here on Tuesday. It's really nice. And perhaps you will be able to find even some representation, some people dancing. It's more common to see it during the carnival, but they probably have that for tourists to see. I am now walking towards the first synagogue ever built in the Americas, here in Recife. And it is a very important part of the history here. It costs 40 reais and it's closed on Mondays and Saturdays, obviously because of the Shabbat. But it is just like on the first floor you will have like kind of the ruins, and then they have a few panels with explanation and just some like newspapers, and at the last floor you will have a small video kind of telling the story that you would have read on the first floor. You also have, like, you can see like how a synagogue is in the inside, and they're differently than the other museums. It's not free on Tuesdays as a couple of other museums around this area. I'm not sure if it's because I'm not religious or anything. I don't feel like 40 reais is really worth it, especially if you compare to like other fun museums like Passo do Frevo and Cais do Sertão, which are just 10 reais and are free on Tuesdays. Unfortunately, I couldn't film anything. I just have like a few pictures that I can put here, but it is up to you if you would like to visit or not. However, right next to it, if you go here on this yellow and green place, this is Embaixada de Pernambuco, which is where we will see the big dolls that are used for carnival, which is another cultural manifestation from this area. It's very famous around here. It's a different type of carnival. I will mention this later on, but I am excited to see this one. So let's go and check that one out. So I am now inside the museum that I told you about, and they have quite a lot of big dolls that you can see here. And these dolls, they come out every carnival and they go on parades here in Pernambuco. They're very famous around here. It's a cultural manifestation, and they have many international and national kind of figures. They're gonna have superheroes, comedians, artists, politicians, historical figures, all of those types of things here, and they go out, and it's a traditional thing to be done here. This museum would have cost me 15 reais, but if you buy this one and the other one, which is similar, it's kind of like a wax museum, but they are more geared towards the other types of musical genres that you have here in this area, because they not only have like frevo, but they have maracatu, ciranda, other types of manifestations here that are interesting. So you can get this and they will give you like a little voucher, and then you can go on the other museum, and the two of them together cost 25 reais and visit. So I decided to get the two of them. This one is just across the road over there, very close by, so I'm gonna do both of them together. So we just visited the other museum that pairs with the one with the big dolls. There is like a brief explanation. Unfortunately, it's only in Portuguese, but there is a brief explanation of all of the kind of main types of carnival and why there are so many different costumes. And then at the end, there is a dancer that comes and shows us just a little bit of a frevo dance. Mungangueira, I guess is the name. So if you want, you can come and see that. If you speak Portuguese, it's probably gonna be better. But if you don't, at least for like just getting a sense of the costumes and the dance, if you're not here around carnival time, it might be a good option for you. We are getting close to our last attraction of today's video now, but before we get there, I wanted to quickly just show you. They have here in the area many bars and restaurants, and I mean, it's a bit early now. It's still like around 4 p.m. So the restaurants are still either opening or a little bit empty at the moment. But at night, especially today, which is a Friday, you will be able to have many options here. So if you're staying around until later, it is a good option for you to come. You can just pretty much choose anywhere. They have the little square over there that also has loads of restaurants and bars and things like that. So if you're just taking this tour, you can stay until late, and it's gonna be busy, probably. So now let's keep on going to our next spot. Just arrived at our last stop of the day. Recife is a very cultural city, and as such, you have the most different types of cultural manifestations that you can have. But one of the things I wanted to do here on this place is to showcase street art, so contemporary street art. So they got this little street that was empty, it was just a wall, and they made it a point for kind of displaying street artists' work. So you can just come here. They have even this kind of gate to come in, and you can cross here, just appreciate the street art that they have, sit down, enjoy. It is now a touristic spot, even though it is completely empty. I am the only one here right now. I guess it's one of the perks of coming during the week, but if you come through on a weekday, you probably will have more people coming through. So let's just go and take a look at it. So I wanted to show you a little bit of what Recife has to offer. People usually think about the beaches, but I wanted to really show you like the cultural side of the city. So if you're interested in seeing other things about Recife, let me know down in the comments. I will try and answer if I can. I will make videos about it. Or check out my other videos. I have a playlist about it. Or if it's not there yet, whatever YouTube thinks is the best video for you. I'll see you soon. Bye.